Hi everyone, my name is Angie Gallo and welcome to the Florida PTA and the Exceptional Child. We are so thrilled to be with you today. We hope that you find this slide or presentation informative, and we hope you walk away learning a little bit something about Florida PTA and all that we have to offer. Your presenters today will be myself, Angie Gallo. I'm the Florida PTA Vice President for Educational Development, and Tony Nelson. Tony, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, I'm Tony Nielsen. I'm the Exceptional Child Chair for the Florida PTA.
Wonderful. All right, Tony is going to share with you a little bit of the history of the Florida PTA.
In 1897, the National Congress of Mothers was formed by a group of concerned parents about the education as well as health and safety of children. In 1908, the organization changed its name to the National Congress of Mothers and Parent-Teacher Association. Today, now called National PTA, has over 6 million members. The Florida PTA has more than 300,000 members.
Wonderful. Now I'm going to share a little bit about us. PTA is the largest volunteer advocacy organization in the nation. We advocate for the health, safety, and education of all children. With the help of our sponsors and members, we are able to form partnerships and coalitions to work towards our mission. Tony, you want to talk about our mission?
Yes. Our mission at Florida PTA is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children.
And at Florida PTA, we're really proud of the advocacy work that we do. We're an association that was founded in advocacy, and we're an association that continues that advocacy to this day. And we're going to tell you a little bit about how we do that. Okay, our purpose. Our purpose in the PTA is to promote the welfare of children and youth in home, school, places of worship, and throughout the community, to raise the standards of home life, to advocate for laws that further the education, physical and mental health, welfare, and safety of children and youth, and to promote the collaboration of engagement of families and educators in the education of children and youth, to engage the public in united efforts to secure the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social well-being of all children and youth, and to advocate for fiscal responsibility regarding public tax dollars and public education funding. Tony, you want to talk about our values?
Yes. At Florida PTA, we value and foster collaboration, commitment, diversity, respect, and accountability.
So the Exceptional Child Committee is a part of my commission. At Florida PTA, every vice president has their own commission. I have 5 committees under my commission, one of which is the Exceptional Child Committee. Every 2 years, the Florida PTA chooses a chair to lead this committee and to develop a plan of work that ties into our vision and benefits the children with exceptionalities and their families. This could involve putting on workshops, working with other committees such as resolution, legislation, and college and career readiness, as well as being actively involved in PTA events such as leadership and legislation conferences. As you've already met, Tony Nielsen is our chair of our Exceptional Child Committee. She has another member, Marie Norton, and we do have a vacancy at this time. So if there's anybody out there that would be interested in serving on this wonderful committee, please let us know. All right, now I would like you to meet Tony Nelson, and I want you to watch this short video on why Tony is such a great advocate. Bear with us, it's going to take a few minutes.
My son's name is Austin and Jacob. Both my sons are on the autism spectrum and they have ADHD. A stands for attentive, deficit hyperactivity disorder. They need basically accommodations to help them stay focused. I didn't know nothing about exceptional children until I had my boys. Had them evaluated to see if they had a disability, which they did. And then I got a lot of help and made connections with different people. And I wanted to learn more and more on how it could help my children. And that's why I joined Florida PTA. Once a year I go to Leadership Convention. This year I'm the chair, so I'll put on some informative workshops to help, benefit parents for their children with disabilities. You want to join Florida PTA, you want to look at the Florida PTA website, because there's a list of resources for parents for the children with disabilities. You want to come to the Leadership Convention and come see me, I can help. I can give you resources and where you can turn. You will definitely see me there.
Oops. Thank you, Tony. That was wonderful. We're having a little bit of Wi-Fi issues that I'm sure everybody's experiencing right now with all of us working from home. So excuse the fuzziness of that video at first. All right. So now I want to talk a little bit about the legislation, the exceptional child. As I mentioned previously, we are an association that is founded in advocacy. Listed here on this screen are just a few bills that we worked on and supported during the last legislative session. 575, we worked closely with the sponsor, Renee Placencia, of this bill, which was about applied behavior analysis services. And basically what the bill did would have allowed, had it passed, it did fail, RBTs into the classrooms at the parent request. Right now, it's up to each school district if the RBTs are allowed, which is a registered behavioral technician, if they're allowed into the classroom. And this bill would have not given the decision to the district, but it would have been at the request of the parent. We will be working on this bill next year. It will be back for the next legislative session in 2021. Another bill that we supported, we didn't necessarily work on, but we did support, was 1164, and it was a Gardner Scholarship. And what this bill did was revise the eligibility requirements for the Gardner Scholarship Program, which is a scholarship program with students with children with disabilities. It would have allowed parents to use the scholarship funds for tuition and fees associated with programs relating to art, music, and theater. And it would have revised the terms under which a student scholarship account is closed and public refunds revert to the state. I believe that bill will also be back next year. Another bill that we supported was students with disabilities in schools. It also failed. This was a hard legislative session. But what that bill would have done was it would have prohibited the use of seclusion on students, and it would revise provisions relating to restraints. It would use restraints less on students. We're very clear. We have a list of position statements and resolutions that have passed on children with exceptionalities on what we believe should and shouldn't happen in the schools. So those can be found on the Florida PTA website or on the PTA website. The last bill that we were heavily involved in, and we worked with several different associations, was the dyslexia bill. We actually helped secure one of the sponsors in the House for this bill. But what this bill would do would require that all children are screened in kindergarten through grade 3 for dyslexia. A lot of kids are missed, and we don't find out that they have dyslexia until 2nd or 3rd grade, and that's usually too late. So we need, the earlier that we can detect and determine which children might have this disability, the easier it is for us to work with that child and the more successful those children will be. So those are just a few of the bills that we work on, and the dyslexia bill will be back next year. So we were really hoping to bring that one home, but it didn't happen this year. All right, Tony, you want to talk a little bit about the Florida PTA and our resources?
Yes, please visit the following link to see all the wonderful resources Florida PTA has with children with exceptionalities.
And this is the link. We're going to provide this PowerPoint presentation to Family Cafe so that they can share it out with all their members that would like to have it or to keep it or to use it. And when we do so, you can just click on this link and it'll take you directly to our resource page on the Florida PTA, and you can see the plethora of resources available for you and your family. All right, not only does the Florida PTA have many resources for you to view, but the PTA national organization does as well. They have put an entire special education toolkit on their website, and it's at www.pta.org. And if you go over to the family resource guide, click down, you will see the special education toolkit there. We're going to go through now some of the resources that are available on that website to help you navigate through the education of your child all the way from pre-K to their senior year in high school and beyond. So let's take a look. All right, this is what you're going to find when you go to pta.org and you click on the family resources and you go down to the toolkit. You're going to have some options. You're going to have a getting started, which is going to be an introduction to the special education process and how to advocate for your child. We're going to talk about pre-K to graduation and what it looks like to transition your student throughout his or her school career and prepare them for the workforce and after graduation. We're going to have a link for federal policy. There's a lot to know and a lot to learn when you have a child with disability, and a lot that you need to know so that you can best advocate for your child at the school level. And we're going to walk you through the federal policy. What are your rights? What are you entitled to? So that when you walk into IEP meetings or 504 meetings, you're prepared to have those. We also provide for you a parent's dictionary. So every term that you can think of related to a child with exceptionalities will be listed in this parent dictionary. We also have an acronym page. So we break it down by acronyms. What we find living in the education world is that everything has an acronym. So it'll help you navigate those waters if you understand what those acronyms are. And finally, we have resources. We have a directory of tools and organizations that families can access for assistance at any time. All of these are at your fingertips just by going to our website. So let's take a look at a few of these. Getting started. When you click on that link, this is what you're going to see. It's going to talk to you about what is special education. Some of this you might already know. It might be a little too basic for you, but we like to start at the beginning, because what we find is sometimes parents, you don't always know. There's so many different degrees of disabilities or exceptionalities. It's, all the way from gifted to dyslexia, to autism, to ADHD, to a learning disability, to hearing impaired, to hearing or eye impaired, eyesight, they can't see. So there's so many different degrees of disabilities that sometimes you don't even realize that your child has a disability until you get in school and they get screened. So we start at the beginning. What does it look like? We're hoping that these tools make it less scary for you as a parent and help you navigate through the school and to be better informed. So it'll talk about how to determine if your child has special needs, what type of services are available to your child within the school system if they do have special needs. What is the role of a school psychologist, say, versus a staffing coordinator, or an ESE para, or an ESE teacher, or a mental health counselor. It's going to talk about the different roles of the different personnel you may meet in the educational setting. How do you begin the process? What is an individual education plan or an IEP? What do you do at an IEP meeting? Who are you allowed to attend? What questions should you ask at an IEP meeting or ask about special education instruction and assessments? What are your rights? What are your procedural safeguards? And it also talks about special education committees within PTAs. There's a lot of PTAs across the state that have special education committees that are set up just for children with exceptionalities. Ask your PTA if they have one, and if not, encourage them to form that committee so that all kids are represented at your school. It also talks about if your child can participate in physical education classes and what that might look like. And we want you to know that the National PTA has a PTA Reflections program which celebrates all of our artists across the state of Florida and across the nation. And there is a special artist category for children with exceptionalities. From pre-K to graduation, Here, we're going to talk a lot about how your child can transition to preschool, to elementary school, to middle school, what questions you should ask, how you can help your child make that transition, how to transition from middle to high school, how to help your child prepare for college. There'll be a transition checklist as your child moves from 12th grade over to college or career. It'll talk about vocation education in relation to special education, what higher education may look like, and what assistance is available for parents and young people with special needs. And it'll walk you through how to establish guardianship for your child with special needs and how to create a power of attorney for your child with special needs. And we're not going in these in depth. We wanted this presentation just to be an introduction of PTA, who we are, what resources that we have to share, and how we can benefit you just by going to our website. The next tab that you can find is Understanding Federal Policy. In here, we're going to talk about IDEA. What is IDEA? IDEA is a main federal program authorizing state and local aid for special education and related services for children with disabilities. IDEA requires states to provide a free, appropriate public education, also known as FAPE, to children with disabilities so that they can be educated to the greatest extent possible along with other children. IDEA was created to help states and school districts meet their legal obligations to educate children with disabilities and to pay part of the extra expenses of doing so. What are the different IDEA categories of disabilities? What are those? Well, they have quite a few: autism, deaf and blindness, deafness, developmental delay, emotional disturbance, hearing impairment, intellectual disabilities, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment and other health impairment, specific learning disability, speech or language impairment, traumatic brain injury, and visual impairment. If you go to the next tab, which we'll talk about in a minute about the Parents Dictionary, they'll have additional terms and definitions for these. And I'll also talk about the American with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, and it'll list the statute that you can review. That latest version, and it talks about the mandates. It also talks about a 504 plan. How is a 504 plan different than an IEP? Well, it's much different. A 504 plan can show you is for different things. An IEP, or an individual education plan, is a more in-depth education plan for your child with a specific ability. A child that has ADHD might have a 504 plan, and some of the accommodations that are allowed with a 504 plan are seating assignments, more time to complete assignments, more time to complete tests, maybe doing an open book test. Those are some of the different accommodations that would be inside a 504 plan, and we do list that on our website, so take a look. And we do talk about the differences between an IEP and a 504. We also talk about what rights you have if you have a child with ADHD, and then we're going to help you access more information and ADA materials. Next, as I mentioned before, we have a complete Parents Dictionary on every term and definition that you may need to navigate through the difficult waters of making sure that you advocate for your child. And as I mentioned before, we have acronyms. There's many, many acronyms in education, and a lot that deal with children with disabilities. And here are the ones that we've identified, and you can take a look on our website. And finally, the website will have resources, tools for families, locating special education services in your states, and a list of national organizations that are there to help you. We also have webinars that you can watch that will help you learn things that you need to know to, again, help you advocate for your child. They've really compiled a complete list of everything that you might need from start to finish on how to advocate for your child, and how to learn to work with the public schools for your children. Tony, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about what's happening with the SEPTA and the great things that are happening in Florida?
Yes. SEPTA stands for Special Education Parent Teacher Association. We will be chartering a statewide SEPTA on June 17th at 7 p.m. If you are interested in joining or would like more information, please email me at Tony Nielsen at exceptional.child@floridapta.org. This will be a virtual Zoom meeting, and I will provide you with the registration link.
We're super excited about this SEPTA because this will give parents across the state of Florida a place to come together to discuss ideas, to share concerns, to talk about best practices, what may be working in your county that might work in another county, something that may be working in your school that we could use or emulate in another school to help benefit children with disabilities. So we are super excited about the SEPTA, and Tony and her team have done a great job putting together bylaws to make this a reality. So please, if you're interested, email Tony for more information. And as she mentioned, she will give you the registration link. That is all that we have for you today. Again, we are so excited to be part of this forum, to be a part of Family Cafe. This is so near and dear to our heart. We want to make every child's potential a reality, and we want every child to feel included and to be a part of an inclusive environment. So if there's ever a way that we can help you advocate, or we can be there for you, please don't hesitate to reach out to the Florida PTA. I just realized on the first screen I did not share my email address, but I will go back and add it to this PowerPoint presentation before I give this to Family Cafe. But on this screen right here, you do see Tony's email address. And if you have any questions, if you would like more information, if you need any help, if you'd like to join SEPTA, please email Tony at exceptional.child@floridapta.org. That is what her committee is here to do, is to help children and families and parents across the state. So again, it was my pleasure to be with you today. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining in on this presentation. Tony?
Bye, everybody. Thank you.